Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is October 17th, 2018. My name is Lynn, and I'm your host. And we have come a long way since September 7th. Do you remember this? When we all started out with our brown bag and we started this mystery. And now, 7 weeks later, we are ready to look at the almost final quilt. Yes, it is the alphabet. And for those of you who received your clue this morning, we're going to go, I'm glad. Thank you for being a patron of Simply Colorful. And we're going to go over it now during this broadcast. We're going to talk about the borders, and we're going to talk about measuring the quilt to cut your borders correctly. And then we'll also talk about, we'll foreshadow next week when we'll actually be machine quilting this quilt on the Statler Gamma long arm right over there. Yes, the camera will move, and we will show at least as much as we can of the process. We only have one camera, right? So just as a recap, for anyone who might not have been catching us or watching us for the last 7 weeks, patrons of Simply Colorful received a brown bag. And in that brown bag, there was a 1/4 yard, a fat quarter of this fabric. And we turned that with a bunch of clues over the last 7 weeks into this behind me. Some of you have been doing paper pieced alphabet. I did machine applique. And tonight, I just wanted to talk a little bit about putting on the borders, and I thought I would make my binding and take your questions. So as always, this is all about just us sewing together. I'm going to sit down now. Send your updates to lynn@simplycolorful.com. If you want an access to the clues, become a patron, www.patreon.com/simplycolorful. For as much as $2 a month, or as little as $2 a month. We certainly appreciate the support. We also remember our swatch card that we all received. That was a good one to start with. And let's see, I pulled up the EQ picture. If anyone would like the actual EQ file, I'm happy to send it. In fact, I'll try and post it in Patreon. So there it is in EQ, and you'll notice it has 2 borders and then the binding. Oh, and there's someone there. So again, send email to lynn@simplycolorful.com. Who's out there? Hey, Carol, hi. Carol says, great reveal. I love it. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here. Oh, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night. What I have behind me, I just measured it, and mine is a little bit, it's not as wide as I thought it would be. It's like 1/2 inch narrower. But let's go through clue 7, just for anyone who might be there and might have questions, and then we'll talk about the borders and the importance of knowing exactly how wide and how long your finished quilt is. So first off, lay out all of the blocks. I can't tell you how many times I had the M and the N reversed, or the O and the P, and I still am not completely convinced I have them all, but make sure they're all in the right order, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And place the squares that we created in clue 1 that we cut out in the centers to make your stars. Your picket fences, the single pickets go around the edge. The double pickets all go in the middle, and that gives you the stars in between your letters. And then remember, we did the applique. Put your applique flowers in each corner. Now you could mix this up. You know, at one point I was thinking we could do some embroidery on top of it. We could do some applique. You could literally get an item for each letter and do an applique on top of it. I think this is a good basis for the quilt, and then you can make it your own. So you could also, instead of flowers, let's say it was for, well, not to stereotype, I was going to say a little boy, but let's You could put anything there. You could put suns, you could put, rainbows, you could put teddy bears, you could put trucks, you could put dolls, anything in those corners. You could do photos of whomever's going to receive it. So all sorts of things. Okay, so once you've laid it out, I did not do the webbing on this one because I had lots of paper piecing and I really wanted to iron it in between. So I put together, and then I did just hear that ding. What I did was I sewed that to that, that to that. So I did this pair, this pair, this pair, this pair, this pair, this pair, and then I sewed them together. So I ended up with that. I did the same thing over here. I put those two pairs together, then those two, sewed them all together. And then I just sewed these in a row. And then, so to put it all together, I ended up having, oh, I skipped a major important step. Before you put these together, first you want to create this unit. See this unit here? Create that unit and that becomes your block. I'm sorry. Then put it together and then sew the two seams. Okay. Clear as mud, I know. Yeah, so I goofed. Step 2 should have been step 1. So here, step 2, you're putting the sashing on. And then you line up your blocks on your table. All right, and then you sew them all together. And then you get to probably the hardest part of this whole quilt, which is the bindings. Because, well, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. It's just go back to what you cut out on clue 1. You should have cut out, let's see how many of these were there. Or I could pull out my clue 1. See, these are all of the patterns. Okay, clue 1. What did it say? Okay, we cut out 7 strips. Who's there? Let me say hi to whomever's there. Hello, Chris Myers. How are you? So it's been so long since I've talked to you. Do you believe it's been 7 weeks since we started this quilt? What a journey. And tell me this isn't the busiest time of year. I am ready for October to be over. I'm heading to Tampa early Monday morning, and that will be the last trip, I hope, for business for a while. Okay, so anyway, back to, I'm so glad, Chris, you're out there. 7 strips, each measuring 1.5. are the inside border. And then we also cut on week 1, we cut 7 strips of this that measures 3.5 inches. So the finished size of this is only going to be 3 inches. The finished size of this is only going to be 1 inch. So 1 inch by the whole width and length of this quilt, there's a lot that can go wrong on a 1 inch strip. So you have to really make sure your seam allowance is correct. Take your time, slow down your machine when you're doing it. But before you even do that, it's critical that you measure your binding strips and then pin it onto your quilt. Yes, you will have to ease it in slightly. Sometimes you'll think there's no way that I'm going to be able to fit this binding to this quilt. You will pin it and make sure it fits. And here's why. You want it to lie as flat as you can. If you don't measure this and you just put this on and just sew, what happens is the top piece stretches more than the bottom piece, and you end up with what they call wavy borders because you've stretched this as you put it on. So the question is, what length do you cut these border strips, right? So now we know why. Why we do this is so that we don't get wavy borders. How do we know exactly what size to cut them. Well, as Becca Clash, Becca, if you're out there, hello, down in Georgia, so aptly suggests, and I am taking her up on this suggestion, what you want to do is measure across and up and down on your quilt in a couple of places. Becca suggested 3. I'm going to do 2. I'll admit it, in past times I've done 1 in the centers, but that's really not good enough. Do at least 2 and ideally 3. And what do I mean by that? Okay, I've got my piece of paper and my pencil. What you want to do is measure the width 3 times, take the average, and then that's going to be the size of the border you're going to cut. Now on this quilt, we did the side borders first on both sides. So first, I need to figure out what size. First, I have to sew 2 of these together, right? And then I have to figure out what size I need to cut it. Oh, isn't that pretty? That's going to be so pretty. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the top here, 36. Down to 33 1/8. So 36 plus 33 1/8 is 70 1/8. Now let's see in the middle how it looks. So 36, that looks pretty good. It's in the same spot. And that's 33, so that's 70. So 70 1/8, 70. Hopefully this will be 70 1/16. We can call it 70 1/16. Oh, wow. This is 70 3/8. So we have 70 1/8, 70 3/8. So that means this is 1/4 inch shorter than this. Wow, Becca, I never would have known that. So now we have to take the average. So 70 3/8. No, actually, no, that's right. So I brought my calculator. 70 1/8, 3/8. Let's do 2/8. So let's do 1/4. So let's do 70 1/4 inch. See what I'm doing? So I average 70 1/8, 70 3/8. So it's actually going to be less than 1/4. Let's see. What's 1 divided by 8 is 0.125. Oh, this will be good, Pod, watching me do math. Okay. What's 3/8? Hello? 3/8 is 0.375. Okay. Hey! Hi, KB. Are you responding to my math? Oh, Jean's out there. Hello, Jean. Nice to see you out there. Oh, I'm so psyched. Okay. KB says, check your math. I really don't plan to be this batty. So she says 36 plus 33 is 79. Good point. I mean, it's 69. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm not even kidding you. This is how tired I am. Okay. Let's start over. When we measured it on each side, it was 36 plus 33, which is 69. And it was 69 1/8. Then it was 69 in the middle, and then it was 69 3/8. Okay. Karen says you're awfully brave to do math live. Well, I didn't think it was going to be this much of a challenge, but clearly, I guess I am brave or a little bit not very smart. Okay, 69.125 plus 69 plus 69.375 equals 207.5 divided by 3 equals 69.16666. 69.1, let's say 17, which is, yeah. So, to recap what we just did, what we just brilliantly figured out, what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of these inner borders and sew them together and then cut it off and iron it. Then what I want you to do is, and cut off the salvages on either end. Then I want you to cut 2 pieces, measure 2 of these. So do that twice. Then measure 2 of them that are 69.17 inches long. So 69 and, and a little more than 1/8. It doesn't. 69 1/4 will be fine. So do 2 of those and sew those on either side. Okay. Then do the same thing going across so that we know we'll have extra of this. Sew that together with the rest of your blue strips. And we want to measure this across, including this piece you put on. Or I think you're okay to just assume that that will be 1 inch on either side. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go up here, 36. Can't believe I didn't do my math right. $36 plus 21 3/4. So 36 plus 21 3/4. How about this? 36 plus 21 1/2. And let's do down here. 36. Plus 21 3/8. Okay, so now we have 3 measurements. Now I'm going to take the average, not the mean. Is the mean the same as the average? And what's the difference between a mean and a median? That is the real question. Okay, 36 plus 21.75 equals, really, this is not good pod, 57.75. And then this one will be 30, 40, 57 1/2. And then this will be 57.375. Okay. So 57.75 plus 57.5 plus 57.375 equals 172.625 divided by 3 equals 57.54. So 57 1/2. Oh, but then add 1 inch on either side. 57, 58, 59 1/2. I guess, Becca, you were right. I should have done this. Did I? Well, you know what? I went to EQ. So EQ tells us that side border, we should have cut 70.5, and I came up with 69.17. Oh, boy. Then across it says it should be 60.5, and I came up with 59.5. So the message here is on page 3 of clue 7, These numbers here for the borders on either side are guidelines. Take what you cut in clue 1, do the math that we just did, and then cut your borders accordingly. And then put them on, put the 2 sides on, the 2 tops. Then do the same thing with these. Put the sides on and then the 2 tops. And those are the borders. So clearly it's a Friday night. I am not going to be doing this today. And I know FiberCast is all about what we can get done in 60 minutes, and it's a time for us to unwind. But there just isn't room, and I must admit, you saw me do math, I would probably make some mistakes. So we're not going to do that, but I think I can handle, oh, this is fun. I can see why teachers would do this. I'm going to make some binding. So once those borders are on, I'm going to bind it in more of this. I'm interested for anyone who's made this quilt. Let me know how much you have left over. And for anyone who wants the EQ file, like Becca, I'll send it to you. I'll post it on Patreon. So any patron is more than happy to take this and do with it what you want. I was just so happy that everyone played. It really was a fun time. So I'm going to put these aside, and I bet I didn't even mention the binding in the clue. For my binding, I like to cut it 2.5 inches, the width of the fabric, and then fold it in half. And so I bet you can't even see that, can you? So I'm just going to use this right here. I'll cut a few strips and then I'll see who's out there. I hope where you are, it's either beautiful spring or beautiful fall. I saw one of my doll making friends, Mary Ellen, is over in Sydney, Australia, visiting another doll artist. And I wondered if you saw Megan and Harry. And then Sarah is out west looking at hummingbirds, which is exciting, having them come to her feeder. And I think she's in New Mexico, but I'm not completely sure. Okay. Oh, Oh, KB just wrote. What'd she say? So KB from Pennsylvania says, your quilt, what did I say? Really? She says, your quilt looks great. I have a few more rows to put together. Really? On your paper piecing? I had it easy with applique. I cannot wait to see your paper piecing all together. She says, I should have the center together tonight. Definitely going to save the math of borders for tomorrow. Oh, she says, Megan and Harry on a first name basis, are you? I'm just glad I got their names right. Yes. Aren't you on a first name basis? Oh, funny. Okay, let's see. Who else is out there? I need to make sure to change my blade for tomorrow. Tomorrow, a few of us are getting together to make that sew together bag. I can't wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and before I forget, we have 2 more people coming to our quilting retreat out in Missouri. So if anyone wants to come with us, it's January 21st, which is a Monday, through that Friday, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 25th. Please join us. We're going to have a blast. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 6 for now. I'm going to need 7, so I'm going to do 7. Boy, I hope there aren't any beginning quilters out there watching me. I am not I'm not a good teacher here. Let's see who's out there. Okay. Oh, Becca. So she said, Becca asked, what size, width, and fabrics do we make the borders from? No, you didn't miss it. The directions were not very clear. So let me just get my swatch out. The inner border is made with color E, and the outer border is made with color D. So E and D. And this is 1.5 inches wide, 3.5 inches wide. And you cut those out in clue 1, and then you pull those back out. So sorry about the confusion. She says, oh, I plan to make this quilt wall hanging size as a gift for a homeschool family for their classroom, but it will be next year, she says. She says, I'm guessing the blocks will have to be reduced in half on the printer. She says, is anyone else doing it smaller? Not that I know of, but like I say, we can reduce the size in EQ. So, oh, and she sent me a picture of a quilt that I love. She says, she'll applique the letter blocks. She says, Wednesday, I finished the quilt top and backing that will be donated to a women's shelter. She says, I've mentioned this one before. Finally done after 2+ years, and it feels so good. See photos below of the scrappy back and the top laying on the back. Oh, isn't that lovely? I like that. I've always liked that pattern. Isn't it fun to make too? Very nice. She says, I'll be watching tonight, not sure what I'll be working on. Well, hello, Becca. I hope you're well. Misty in Colorado. Hi, Misty. Misty says, I keep forgetting to ask you, if I was watching you live on YouTube, if I comment, will you see it right away? Oh, Misty, I won't right now because of the way I've got it set up. I should be able to, but the camera is built into the PC that I'm talking to right now, and it's far enough away so that I can't even see if there are comments. So the answer is no, I don't see comments. The best way to get me live is to send me email to lynn@simplycolorful.com. But I'm glad you're out there. And she goes on to say, Misty says, I'm a little confused about such things as I'm not a social media person, but you always say send an email. Perfect. She says, I'm not sure if I will see you live tonight as I have started my staycation, so maybe dinner out. Just wondering, Misty. Oh, enjoy your staycation. Oh, I think everyone should do a staycation as often as they can. And I hope you're having a good dinner. Okay, so let's make our binding. Here and here. I'm going to put this all away. And like I say, next week, we're going to do an edge-to-edge quilting design on this. And I'll send out in the clue, I'll send out the exact, what will I send out? I might send a couple of choices of quilting design and thread color. And then by the time Friday rolls around, because I will be in Tampa for the week. Let's see. Okay, you can see that. So next Friday will be the first time I'll be able to get this. I'll put the borders on this weekend, and I'll get it ready to load on the long armor. And then when we're together, I'll load it. And then I will have decided which thread color and which pattern. And hopefully we can at least start one of the rows of the pattern. So I'm talking out loud. Okay, I have white thread. That's good. You know, while I'm at it, at least I could sew these together. On this one, I wasn't particular about having the center seam on each corner, on each side or top. You could. And if you wanted to do that, cut out an extra one. So cut out 8 of these. In fact, I probably should have done that. Oh, and I'm going to piece them together. Flag piece them. Lots of pumpkins and cider and donuts around. And leaves. Oh boy, are there leaves coming down. Remember, if you have directional fabric, it's even a good idea. Just make sure you put it end to end. So see these two, how one of them has a lighter salvage and a darker. So I'm just always going to put lighter and darker. That way I know that if you go all the way across, it's all going the same way. So we have this. There's the lighter. Here's the darker. Bob just went out and bought us a mega bucks ticket. I think it was mega bucks and not Powerball. And I think I saw something that said, you're more likely to be elected president than to win the lottery. Okay. Maybe my other, oh, I know where they are. Hang on. 1, 2, and then we'll have one left over because we have 7. I should have, see this? So there are 2 big white salvages. Just to keep the pattern going the same way, I'm going to switch it. So I have 1 white and 1 not white. I know it's a knit, but it's kind of like corduroy when you get the nap going one way or the other. It's very slight, but you will be able to pick it up if you don't. You won't know why it doesn't look quite right. And here are some old scissors. Let's try these. There's that. So I'm so curious to see, Sue, if you make the alphabet KB, I cannot wait to see yours that will have paper pieced. Again, Misty, if you're out there, I know that you were thinking of taking the challenge. If anyone would like to finish this quilt by next Friday and get it here by next Friday to 80 Winter Street in Hopkinton, I will quilt it for you for free. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. There's that. Now let's work on our binding. These I can sew all together and make one long continuous binding. I'm going to turn this on. Okay. I wonder what we should make next. Should we make a doll? I know a few of you have been doing your rug hooking, and it is a perfect season for rug hooking. Okay. Remember I said last week I was listening to A Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. What a great book. Great book. Well, I'm listening to it. I'm not reading it. And fortunately, I let it expire. And then when I went to try to renew it, all the copies had been loaned out. So I'm back on a waiting list. And actually, I found another version of it read by someone else in the Boston Public Library, I think was where I found it. So actually, I think I'm okay. And I was just about finished. So I think tonight I will finish that. Okay. Another book I looked up was Life Reimagined. Thank you for that tidbit, that recommendation. The library I looked at did not have it, so I recommended that they get it. Oh, and my friend Kim, who wrote the book Story, The Art of, what was it? Forget what it's the art of. But get that book. She's been invited to various high schools to talk about it. And it's a great way to help either high school kids. It's a process. It outlines a process of how to build your own brand and tell your story. And if you don't do it, there will be a void and other people will write your story for you. So you can use that to your advantage to get into college, to get into graduate school. If you are climbing the career ladder, you want to use it to position yourself there. Whatever you want to do, it's a very comprehensive description of how to do it. I highly recommend it, actually. Okay. It's one of those books you want to have on the shelf for when you need it. And now I am just going to iron that open. Oh, ironing is about what I can handle tonight. Isn't that great? That's all you're going to do. We're just making the binding so that when the borders and our quilting is all done, we'll be able to sew this right on. If by chance you don't get the quilt done by next Friday, please consider using your Patreon coupon and send it to me down the road, and I can quilt it for you. La da 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 da. to iron this open. So October 19th, we'll have one more week of this mystery quilt, and then do you believe it will be Halloween? And then we will be into November. Where does the time go? Getting there. Okay, almost done. Something very meditative about ironing, like this. It's not very meditative when you're struggling with the shoulder seams of the shirt. I find a shirt very hard to iron. Okay, so now what I do is I just tie it in a bundle. There is a bobbin winder, a binding winder. Have you seen that? That clips to your counter. I've seen that at trade shows, which I'm sure works great. So, what should we call this quilt? The alphabet quilt? Very original. I think that's probably what I will call it. And there we go. Okay. There's our binding. Let's see who else is out there. Oh, we can turn this off. I'm done with this for tonight. These are my border strips. Those will be ready to measure and cut on fresh eyes. Who else is out there? Oh, yay. Ding. Hi, Maureen in Pennsylvania. She says, ding. Oh, I'm psyched. She says, great show tonight, ding. Oh, thank you, Maureen. Oh, I'm so glad you're out there. Aw. Okay, let me go. Okay, borders. Oh, this is good. Hi, Lynn. I'm watching you live tonight working on your borders. I feel your pain doing the math. I like to measure my borders by just sewing the lengths together first. Then physically lay the border onto the quilt top through the center and smooth it out. Then trim at the bottom edge. No math involved. Here's a video I did a while back for my sister who lives in another state. Oh, this is awesome. Seriously? I like to measure my borders by just sewing the lengths together first, then physically lay the border onto the quilt top through the center and smooth it out. So you don't do it 3 times. So what I'm hearing you say, and I'm not sure your name, BSM. Oh, this is brilliant. So here is another approach. So let's say this was flat on a table, or if you really trusted your wall here, which I do, to get this really flat. Basically lay the border flat across and cut it. So that in the center, and do the same in the center here. I like that idea a lot. For my level of sewing, which is, I'm not a real precise sewer, I like that idea. Thank you. And for that video, I'll take a look at it. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to tell you my name in my previous email. It's Brenda. Well, Brenda, thank you. On behalf of all of us, thank you. Okay. Annie in Sioux Falls. Hello, Annie. She says it's cold and windy here. Your quilt is coming along really nicely, she says. I've been unable to watch you live for the past couple of weeks as I've been packing up my weaving spinning workshop side of our living quarters because it is going to be finished at last. Oh, good for you. I will have heat, so I will be able to work there year round. It has been a job, but my part is done and I can sit back with my feet up and relax while the rest of the family do the work. Good. I will have a bathroom. No more going up 2 flights of stairs in the middle of the night, which is where the bathroom is. I will also have a laundry room and a dye kitchen. She says, needless to say, I am excited. Tonight, I'm keeping you company while I'm knitting on a pair of gloves. I hope everyone has a good weekend. Oh, this is amazing. Annie, always doing something new and incredibly challenging. Look at that. She's sewing each finger. And it looks like she's going to have 5. I'm glad you're out there. Congratulations on your new space. Keep us posted and send pictures. I love that. Oh, this one's titled Still UFOing from Carol Bell. She says, hi, Lynn and FiberCasters. I hope you all have had a good week. I'm still working on my UFO on Ringo Lake. I got my on Ringo puddle layered, and I'm currently finishing the last few blocks as I have a plan for a layout for them. Yours, Carol Bell in Yorkshire, England. Look at that. That looks sharp. Very nice. Wow. That is a beautiful mosaic. Oh, I'm so glad you're all out there. Becca. Hi, Becca. She says, how about making a jelly roll rug? That's a good idea. Did you see the one that Jean made a few weeks ago? Let me see if I can pull that up. In fact, I wonder if I could use any of the leftover batting I have. Let's see if I can pull. Yes. Did I show everyone that? That's the one Jean made. Speaking of, that's a good idea. I'll tell you what though. For me, I'm not sure what I would do with it. I love it, but I tend to not be putting rugs down. I don't know. I wanted to show you what Judy down on the vineyard did. Check this out. See how this has a red zipper? That's a new zipper that Mom put into her jacket. And her comment was, and it looks beautiful, it's a 2-way zipper. Mom, I'm so impressed. We're going to be making zippered bags tomorrow. I hope they're as easy as I've been advertising. But Mom's comment is, I've just put the zipper in my red jacket. She says, that's a lot of work. Working in the garden is more fun, she says. I hear you, Mom. Oh, speaking of working in the garden, check this out. She went gleaning, and look at that variety. Wow. It's getting to be fall, isn't it? Who was out there? Oh, Jean says, I'll do another one with you. Okay. All right. I think we have takers for our rug. Thank you, Jean. In fact, check this out. I might have a jelly roll or 3. Oh, or 4. All right, I'm in for a jelly roll rug. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad everyone's out there. Thank you for your emails. It means the world to me. And thank you for playing on the quilt. Next week, as I say, we're going to be in front of the long arm machine. My sister will have her paper pieced quilt. No pressure, KB. If you don't get to it, you don't get to it. But we'll see the difference eventually between what it looks like doing the machine applique and her paper piecing. Let's see. Jean says, okay, but I'm only making one more. Okay. We can talk about it. We don't even have to make one. I want to make a jelly roll quilt. Aren't these pretty? You guys should look at these up close. This one is Moda. Gingerbread, Zest for Your Nest. This one is so pretty. This is just Kona roll up. This one is Moda Merrily. This one I should do this year while it's still current. And then this one is Moda Authentic. Oh, Sweetwater, Authentic. So anyway, I think that's about it. I'm so glad everyone could join me. Keep on doing what you love to do. Be creative, and I'll see you here after a big, exciting week. I'll see you right back here next Friday night at 8 p.m. Bye, everyone.